Hello everyone, my name is Arizona and I am here with Phoenix PW Crafting. If you've been on my channel for a while, you'll know that I have been doing a series of Pokeball crochet tutorials, and today I am coming in with probably what is going to be one of my last tutorials in this series with a keychain version of, I believe, the first Pokeball tutorial that I released. This pattern is super quick. I am confident you could probably make this in under 20 minutes if you know the basics of crochet already, which I do want to go over some housekeeping before we get into the actual tutorial itself. The first thing I want to say is that if I'm going too slow or too fast in this video, there are built-in YouTube settings where you can slow down and speed up the video. You just go to the little settings in the corner of your video if you're on your phone or on your TV or whatever you're watching this on, and there's options to slow it down or speed it up. The next question I'm asked a lot is if I have a written pattern. I do have a written pattern. It is in the description box below. I do ask that you like or subscribe or let this video play in the background, because then I still get support from doing this hard work and I can continue to make videos like this. Next up on the housekeeping is that I personally do not include step-by-step instructions on how to do each technique or like stitch typing. So I'm going to put the terms on the screen right now that you do already need to know how to do these types of stitches or magic circles, those types of techniques. I will say that upcoming I am going to be releasing like shorter videos going really in depth on how to create each one of these stitches. I just don't include them in every tutorial because I feel like once you know how to do them, that would be a lot of excess time that you're spent trying to watch this tutorial, because you really only need to learn those things once, and after that it would just be a lot to include in every video. So the next thing that we're going to be discussing is the materials for this project. So this project is worked from the top down, so that means that if you are choosing to make this version, which is a regular Pokeball, you will be starting in red yarn, you will be switching to black in the midway, and then white for the bottom, obviously, whereas on this one you only need red and white yarn. I will say that the starting tail, I'm just going to go ahead and put a note here, we use to sew on the keychain. So if you're someone who likes to really quickly weave in all of their ends as soon as they're done with them, I would wait until the end of the project or like midway, wherever the instruction is for that step, so that way you don't have to weave in extra ends. In this video, I am going to be using size 4 yarn, and I am going to be using a 3.75 millimeter hook. You obviously can use whatever yarn and hook size you prefer. Obviously, if you do decide to go with a larger hook size and a larger yarn, you are going to end up with a larger project, and this is supposed to be a keychain, so I don't know if that affects your decision-making process. Next on the materials list, you obviously need a keychain, which is a question that I get a lot of, what is the best keychain to use? So for me personally, I'm using this acrylic size 4 yarn. And in my experience, a lot of the plastic keychains I have seen are a lot bulkier. So for my decision-making process, I decide to go with metal because they are smaller and obviously more, hopefully, durable than the plastic ones would be. Next up on the materials list, you are going to need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. And obviously the last thing that you will need is some polyfill to stuff your Pokeball. Without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Alright guys, so we are going to be working from the top down. I'm going to be starting in red, and I'm going to be making a magic ring with 6 single crochet into it for round 1. Round 2 is going to be an increase all the way around, so we are going to have 12 stitches at the end of this round. For round 3, we are going to be doing a pattern of single crochet in the first space and an increase in the second, all the way around until you have 18 stitches at the end of this round. For rounds 4 and 5, we are going to be doing a single crochet all the way around for 18 stitches each round, and we are going to be doing this for a total of 2 rounds. In the last stitch of round 5, we are going to be color changing to your center color. For a regular Pokeball, this will mean color changing to black, and for a Premier Ball, this will mean color changing to red. Round 6 is going to be another round of just single crocheting all the way around for a total of 18 stitches. In the last stitch of round 6, we are going to be switching to our bottom color, which is going to be a color change to white. We are going to be doing 2 rounds of single crocheting all the way around in white for rounds 7 and 8. Make sure at some point you secure all of the color change ends with knots or weaving them in. At this stage, we can also use the magic ring in to begin tying in our keychain to the top section. Pick whatever the topmost single crochet of that starting round is, and you're going to be going through that gap as well as the magic ring circle itself to sew in the keychain. When you are done sewing on your keychain, go ahead and actually weave in this in. If you are someone like me who normally does knots, I really recommend sewing in the magic ring end, especially whenever there is a keychain involved, because this obviously will be receiving a lot of wear and tear. Round 9 is going to be a pattern of a single crochet in the first space and an invisible decrease across the second and third stitch, and you're going to repeat this all the way around. You will have 12 stitches at the end of this round. After round 9, we are going to take this opportunity to stuff our Pokeball. I do recommend lightly stuffing this, as I find keychains only need a little bit of stuffing and are really easy to overstuff. Round 10 is going to be the last round of the Pokeball itself, and we are going to be doing 6 invisible decrease just all the way around. You'll end up with 6 stitches at the end of this round. At the end of this round, go ahead and slip stitch back to the beginning and cut yourself a small tail for weaving in that final circle. Now that we have the ball done, we're going to be moving on to our button, and we are going to be starting in white, making a magic ring and 6 single crochet. That will be all we are doing with the white, so you can go ahead and snip that yarn. We are going to be color changing to your outer button color. For a regular Pokeball, this will be black, and for a Premier Ball, we are color changing to white. Since we are working into a magic ring, I find it easiest to go ahead and finish off that 6 single crochet in the white and then reinsert your hook through just the 2 loops so that you can pull through the black and still have your circle all nicely cinched closed. Round 2 and the final round of the button is going to be a slip stitch all the way around. I do apologize for the recording being a little bit off center. I think the camera moved a little bit for this specific row. Go ahead and slip stitch back to the first black slip stitch that you made to finish it off nicely. You're going to be cutting a longer tail since you have to sew this to the Pokeball. It doesn't need to be as long as I'm cutting here, but a decent amount. Despite what I said earlier about it being better to weave in your magic ring ends, I am just going to tie some knots in these ones since they are so close together, and this is not going to be receiving a lot of pulling on, hopefully. I am going to leave out that longer sewing tail. We're not going to be tying knots in that one, but the other 3 I am going to secure before we put them on the Pokeball. So how I like to attach it is I insert my crochet hook a few stitches away from that color change, and then I use my crochet hook to pull through the 3 tails that we just tied knots into. And what this does is kind of secures the button in place while we're trying to sew it on, and also it gives us a space to tie that final sewing tail to once we are finished with applying the button to the ball. When you are sewing the button on, make sure that you are placing the needle just under the 2 loops from each of the outer color slip stitches. We don't want to put it through the white because then it will show, and also pulling the outer color to the outside makes more of a 3-dimensional look like it is in the actual series. Once you're happy with the way your button looks, you're just going to exit your yarn at the same point a few stitches away from the button as the rest of your tails. You can tie them together, snip them, and hide them into your Pokeball. Well guys, that is going to be it from me today. I hope that you enjoy your Pokeball keychain. If you did, you might be interested in some of my other tutorials, such as the larger versions of our little keychain guy friends, a love ball, a great ball, and a master ball. This will probably close out the Pokeball tutorial series, but I am going to be, like I said in the beginning of this video, working on a new series of beginner stitches, as well as a lot of future ideas. If you guys have any preferences or ideas for future series, please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, if you have any questions, I will try to get back to you as soon as possible, like always, and I will see you guys in the next video.